Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got JROKK. Have you seen that?
Absolutely. So for me, after I had been there for a few years, I started realizing in my brain that I was like, man, this lifestyle for me is just not what I want to do. I want to be a good person. I want to change my life. The things that I'm doing, I started realizing that I'd spent all this time in prison. I was looking at all this time. And just like you said, it changed. The stuff changed in there. The people changed. The way things happen in prison changed. The gangs definitely changed, right? My own homeboys and the stuff, it just became this watered down version of what it used to be. And I hated it because for me, when it comes to men and being a man, certain types of weakness in a man, just for me, just is my worst pet peeve. I can't stand a person who wants to be passive aggressive. I just feel like that's not a man's. Being passive aggressive isn't a man's personality trait that it should be. You know what I mean? And it's just one of those things where you see these guys that are like conniving, and they're just like, you hate it, and that's a lot of these people,
right?
Yeah, liar, right? Why not just tell the truth and speak your mind? But instead, you're going to be this passive aggressive guy, or you're going to lie, or you're going to be this manipulative dude. You know what I'm saying? Just man up, man, and be who you are, and that's what it is, And it's just a lot of these people coming in now are not like that. It's washed out now. The world has changed, and so prisons are changing, and some of the stuff that's going on in the prisons that are changing are for the better. And then some of the stuff that's going on inside there definitely is for the worse. Not the same, right? And I've been seeing it. So I got to see it come full circle now. And like, wow, it is crazy to see these things. So
if you're involved with all these gangs and all that, how do you start to step away from it?
So, a lot of people you're going to see inside, especially the Oregon system, where these guys come into these prisons, they join up in the gang, something happens, and they get clipped and they get taken out. You know what I mean? Now they're moved around, or they got to go hide out, or whatever's going on, right? That stuff happens all the time. For me, it was a different story. I didn't do anything like that when I decided to get out. I just decided that I was over it. I didn't want to do it anymore. I felt like, most of the time it was me, on the front line while all these other people were just basically trying to hold my coattails and ride the ride, I didn't like that. So I went to my homeboys and I told them, you know what, I'm over this. I don't care what you guys got to say. If anybody wants to handle business, and let's just get it done and out of the way right now, I'll fight any one of you guys right now if that's what we got to do. But I'm done. I don't want to do this no more. It's not for me. I'm an adult and I don't like it no more. So that's what I did. And, I had a reputation with my hands. And so the guys at the time decided that they didn't, they just were going to leave me alone. There's two sides of the prison. There's a west side and an east side. So the east side was kind of more for people trying to stay out of trouble. So they moved me over there when I decided that that's what I was going to do. And, I found some really cool programs over there that I got involved with that helped change my core belief system. And so I was really thankful that it worked out that way.
So I've been to prison, and I've been on the situation where I'm like, I'm fed up with this. I want to try to change my life. I'm going to take some programs. But that there's still that element in there that you still have to, you're in prison. So you can't open up certain ways. You can't, because it shows weakness when you do that, right?
Absolutely. So, and that was the thing for me, right? Like I said, going in at it at a different angle than most people are, where they're going to get scared about things. I just wasn't that way, because it is what it is. My life is my life. If it means that I'm going to have to fight you guys every day, fine, I'm going to do it. And you better bring your A game, because if you come after me, I'm going to try to make an example out of you. Period. You know what I'm saying? So, that stuff definitely does happen. What was crazy about it is as I stepped out and I came at it and approached it the way that I did, is I started having other guys coming to me, not just from my clique, but from other cliques. And they were talking to me, and I helped pave the way for a lot of these guys to step out of that element, that gang life, just by being there and talking to them and telling them, like, hey man, you know, it's okay, you know what I mean, to be able to do your own thing. If these guys, if you're not somebody who's done something wrong and you're just trying to get out of the gang to better your life, and your homeboys that are your friends want to try to fight you on that, I mean, how can you call that person a homeboy or a friend then? Because clearly they don't care about you, right? So, I mean, that's what it is, man. You know, that element is exactly what it was. And so I just did my thing, and I helped a lot of these other guys. You know, I paved the road for those guys, and I'm proud of that. So, absolutely, 100%.
Even when you're stepping away from the gang, you still got to deal with situations, right? And if you did, can you walk me through any of them?
Sure. I mean, you know, the problem with it is when you're trying to find yourself and you're in the beginning, you're lost. You're like on this fence. You're trying to find yourself. So, you know, you're on the fence, right? You're now your own people are basically, you know, they're looking down on you, right? Because you stepped away. And so, you know, you don't have that feeling of safety now because, you know, you're by yourself, right? Then on top of it, the other side of that fence is that you've tore this prison up for so long that, you know, the staff and the officers also don't trust you, right? So basically you're in this time period of really having to be your star player in there and figure out, you know, what you're going to do, how you're going to deal with these situations, you know, and sometimes there isn't a situation like that, right? Prison is prison. And so no matter what happens, if you allow somebody to disrespect you, or you allow, you know, somebody that doesn't have good charges to come around, or you allow somebody to do these things, well, now, you know, you're going to have to deal with that. You know what I mean? People are going to talk, people are going to do a thing. And so you got to be able to, you know, put your blinders on and try to just avoid everything and do what you're doing. And, you know, sometimes it works out that way, sometimes it don't, you know, but basically what it is that you can't allow yourself, no matter what the situation is, to, you know, be like that, right? So, you asked for like specifics, right? So when you go over to the east side of the prison there, like I said, that's the side where a lot of guys are trying to do the right stuff, right? And I joined a program there in 2016. It was called the Joys of Living Assistant Dog Program. And it taught me how to train service dogs, right? Which is now my passion in life. I love it. I took that program when it first started. I ended up getting to the top position in that program, running the program, teaching other people how to train dogs, training the dogs in there. It was really a cool situation to be in. And it was actually that program is what really helped me find myself and become the person that I am now, was that specific program, right? And so, but I had some situations go down in there where, you know, it was, you know, bad times. I've had to definitely check some people and do some things that just because you're in this position, you still can't allow stuff to go on. You know what I mean? And so I've had some times where, you know, I've had somebody who with not great charges bump into me and not say, excuse me. You know what I mean? And when something like that happens, people don't realize that if you're the type of person that you are, and it doesn't matter where you are in prison, if something like that happens and somebody like that bumps into you and they don't say, excuse me, and then you don't deal with the situation, the whole day room is going to stop and they're going to watch because they know. You know what I mean? That's what it is. And they're waiting to see how you're going to deal with it. And same thing with all those other people that may be in that person's type of car, right? Whatever they got going on, people that don't have good charges, that are sex offenders or whatever going on, right? They're going to watch to see also how you do it. So,
Yeah.
you know, if you don't smack the shit out of this guy in front of it, not only are those other guys going to be able like, oh, we can just disrespect this dude, you know what I mean? And other people are going to be like, oh, look at this weak dude, that guy just did it. So now you got this other jacket on you. So no matter what you're trying to do, you still have to figure out how to walk that line and carry yourself, you know, a certain way to make it to where people understand that you're still about your business, but that you're trying to do the right thing. And so it's difficult sometimes, man, you know?
How do they deal with sex offenders in there? And have you ever had someone in your cell where they had bad charges, and what did you do?
So here's the thing for me, right? I'm not allowing people like that in my house if I know, right? So when you're going in there, the dog program itself was difficult for that, right? Because they try to give everybody the opportunity to be there. The good thing for me is being the person that I was in the program, running the program, and doing the training, that I really had most of the time a pick, you know, come in to where I get to pick who came into my house. So that way I wasn't surrounded by those types of people, right? But I did have a situation go down where somebody came into my house one time and I didn't know who he was, that I just, you know, in visiting, you know, when my wife would come visit me, this guy's mother was very nice. So we just thought that they were nice people. We didn't know. He came to me and told me that he was coming to the program. And I was like, okay, this guy seems pretty nice. You know what I mean? I know he was doing a life sentence. So I thought definitely when somebody's doing a life sentence that there's, you know, a murder involved. So I thought he was in for a murder. You know what I mean? He moved into my house and then I found out what this disgusting person had done, you know, and yeah, he had to go right now. You're not going to be up in here. That's just not what it's going to be. The dude, I don't remember what his name is. There's been a weird thing going on in the prisons now where somebody has found a loophole where they're allowing people to legally change their names to different names. So sometimes it's difficult to know who these people are. And that's exactly what this situation was. Once I figured out who the guy was, and I figured out that this sick freak was a kid who had raped and murdered a 7-year-old little girl, bro, you're not going to be up in here. And, you know, I handled my business that needed to be appropriately, you know what I mean? And he was out of there. So, and then, you know, he left the whole prison because he was scared about it, right? So, you know, people think that these guys coming in here, sure, they can hide out and they can do things. But let me tell you, man, let me tell you something. And I want everybody to know this and understand when it comes to these sex offenders, right? They come into these prisons a victim. That's their mentality. They come in as a victim. They didn't do it. They're a victim. They're always all the time. They're tailing. They're scared. They're doing these things. You know what I mean? That is what it is in there all the time. And even in the spots, you know, where they think that they're a little bit safer because it's like the east side of the prison where people are trying to do the right thing.